Havik has never really been one of the more prominent Mortal Kombat characters, to the extent that in terms of pure screen time, he actually hasn't even really been around too much. But as series fans know very well, the amount of time a Mortal Kombat character gets on screen isn't always representative of how interesting that character is, or how popular they are. Havik is certainly one such character. The self-dubbed Agent of Chaos has been around for a while, but hasn't been around too often. With the upcoming Mortal Kombat 1 expansion, Khaos Reigns, Havik is set to take on a much more prominent role though. So ahead of its release, here, we're going to go over the character's full story across the entire Mortal Kombat series so far. Havik was first introduced in Mortal Kombat Deception, a resident of the realm known as Chaos Realm. Havik is a cleric of chaos, with his one and only goal being to upset the established order everywhere in the universe and spread utter chaos, as a result of which he will align with whoever and whatever suits his needs. Over the course of the series, Havik has been the most chaotic evil character you could imagine, having served as a villain who not only makes trouble for the heroes, but for other villains as well. That informs a great deal of his actions throughout Mortal Kombat Deception. He starts out by corrupting and possessing Shujinko in his quest for gathering the Kamidogu, the 6 powerful artifacts scattered throughout the realms that, as per legend, can grant untold powers. The 6 relics, however, are also central to the machinations of the evil and resurgent Dragon King Onaga, who Havik is very much aligned against, seeing his potential rule over the universe as the ultimate victory of order over chaos. Consequently, later on in the game, Havik also lures the heroes into a battle with Onaga, hoping to also use the chaos as cover for his own means of using the Dragon King's heart to become more powerful, and powerful enough to resurrect the dead. And who does Havik bring back? By the end of Mortal Kombat Deception, Havik has brought back to life the Outworld Emperor Shao Kahn, who he believes will spread chaos through his rule should he rise to power. From then on, Havik also appears in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, though his role is heavily reduced. One sequence involving Shinnok and Tavern does feature him prominently, but it's revealed that the Havik in the scene was just an illusion conjured by Shinnok as a test for Taven. The real Havik, meanwhile, is seen fighting alongside the forces of darkness towards the end, and much like other characters, he dies during that fight.
Careful, Taven. This one is most unpredictable.
You know him?
I am Havik, the cleric of chaos. Shinnok will not regain control of anything, so long as I draw breath.
Round 1. Fight!
From here, we arrive at that alternate timeline that was kicked off with 2011's Mortal Kombat reboot. Interestingly enough, Havik doesn't actually appear throughout the entire trilogy, certainly not as a playable character, much less one with any meaningful role in the story. Though to be fair, he does have a major role to play in the Mortal Kombat X comic, which is set before the events of the game itself. His involvement in the story begins when the sorcerer Quan Chi, who's putting things into motion for the return of his master, the evil Shinnok, enlists the Chaos Cleric's aids in gathering the 6 Kamidogu, which, in this timeline, are daggers. Havik agrees, though of course he doesn't really intend to help anyone other than himself. Havik's plan revolves around the warmongering Outworld soldier Reiko, who is contemplating ending his own life when Havik tells him that using the Kamidogu, he can grant Reiko unimaginable power, following which Reiko agrees to work alongside Havik. Of course, what Havik really wants is to use Reiko as a vessel and ultimately gather and use the 6 Kamidogu to make himself all-powerful. Throughout the course of the comic, meanwhile, Havik also locks horns with a number of known heroes and characters, from Cassie Cage, Jackie Briggs and Sub-Zero, to Takeda Takahashi, Shujinko, and many others. Chief among them, however, is Scorpion, aka Hanzo Hasashi, a man Havik looked at as a kindred spirit, even referring to him as a fellow agent of chaos. Of course, by this point, Hanzo has left the Scorpion mantle behind him, and having managed to move past the many traumas of his old life, is now trying to lead a less violent life. Havik, however, desperately wants Hanzo to embrace that side of himself again, because of which he decides to keep pushing him in the worst and most gruesome ways possible. In fact, Hanzo outright dies at Havik's hands at one point, only to be revealed having managed to come back to the world of the living towards the very end, defeating and killing Havik just when it looks like he might be about to win. Havik doesn't appear in Mortal Kombat X the game itself, and though he does appear in Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath, he does so very briefly and has little to no impact on the story. Presumably, this is a past version of the character that has been dragged back into the present by Kronika's shenanigans.
We can use Earthrealm's Jinsei to heal Sindel's body. But to break Quan Chi's spell and revive her soul, we will need access to Outworld's Soul Chamber.
In Mortal Kombat 1, however, Havik comes back with a much more important role to play in the story. In this universe, Liu Kang has tried to minimize the circumstances leading to known villains' origins as much as possible. That means Chaos Realm doesn't exist at all, which in turn means Havik is a resident of Order Realm. Nonetheless, he continues to pull that tug of chaos and once again aligns himself with the likes of Quan Chi and Shang Tsung over the course of the game. Once again, Havik also has a dramatic duel with Scorpion in Mortal Kombat 1, though of course the Scorpion mantle in this universe belongs to Kuai Liang, who becomes the second Sub-Zero in both previous timelines after his brother Bi-Han died. The fight between Kuai Liang and Havik once again proves an unfortunate one for the latter, because it ends with him being horribly disfigured. For fans, of course, it's something of a pleasing moment, since this is how Havik gets his instantly recognizable and horribly disfigured look in this universe.
Test your might.
Multiple versions of Havik from across different timelines also fight alongside the forces of darkness towards the end of Mortal Kombat 1's story, while the end of the game also reveals that a Titan version of Havik is putting plans into motion to spread chaos throughout the entirety of the Mortal Kombat multiverse. That of course brings us to the upcoming Mortal Kombat 1 Khaos Reigns. It looks like Havik is set to play the role of the main antagonist, and as the expansion's name suggests, his goal of spreading chaos is going to take center stage once more. Interestingly, Havik is also responsible for the creation of this universe's version of Noob Saibot, which he did by stealing Bi-Han's soul and corrupting it with chaos magic. Will his obsession with Scorpion also return? That much remains to be seen. Either way, it's fair to say that Havik is a fascinating villain to tell this next story around, not least because he hasn't always been the most prominent character, in spite of being decidedly an interesting one. Hopefully, we'll learn much more about him with Mortal Kombat 1 Khaos Reigns. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.